The beast's roar shook the academy walls, but the humans in the room didn't flinch. The Galactic Empire had dragged the monster here in a caged barge of steel and energy fields, proud of their lesson in fear. It was a creature bred in darkness, with serrated fangs like broken glass and muscles that seemed carved from stone. The alien instructors called it the Terrorfang, a predator that had torn through battlefields across 100 conquered worlds. Every cadet in the hall leaned back as the cage hissed open, waiting for the humans to break. Only one human had been sent. A girl in a plain jacket, sitting cross-legged in her chair as though she was waiting for a bus. She didn't even blink as the beast stepped forward. The Empire's High Commander, robed in authority, spread his hands wide. His voice rang out, sharp and proud. Observe. This is what true power looks like. This is what awaits those who defy the Empire. The cadets stared at the human, expecting tears, begging, at least a scream. Instead, she tilted her head. The beast locked eyes with her. Its massive frame trembled. Then, unthinkably, it whimpered. A ripple tore through the hall. The alien cadets muttered in disbelief. The commander's jaw tightened, his mandibles twitching in irritation. The Terrorfang, this terror weapon, pressed itself against the bars, claws scraping, not toward the cadets but away. Toward her. Like it wanted out. Like it wanted her protection. The human girl smiled faintly, as though she had just heard the punchline of a joke no one else understood. "Cute dog," she said. The commander's voice cracked. "Dog? This is the scourge of 14 star systems. This beast devours entire colonies." The girl leaned forward in her seat. "Yeah. And now it wants belly rubs." The cadets erupted in murmurs again. Some hissed in disbelief. Others clutched their datapads tighter. None dared laugh, but more than a few looked like they wanted to. The commander's composure fractured further. "You mock the Empire's might?" The girl raised her eyebrows. "No, I'm mocking you." Silence fell like a hammer. The humans had been brought here as a joke. A lesson in humility. The Empire believed they were teaching their officers that humanity was soft, weak, and ready to fold. But the setup had backfired. The cage rattled. The Terrorfang bent its head to the floor and whined. The human leaned closer, resting her chin on her hand. "You guys might want to get a refund," she said. "Because whatever intimidation tactic this was supposed to be, it's not working." The commander jabbed a claw toward the cage. "Unleash it." The cadets gasped. Several shouted objections, but the order was obeyed. Energy fields snapped down, bars clattered aside, and the beast was free. The Terrorfang stepped out, and then collapsed onto its belly at the girl's feet, whining like a guilty puppy. She reached out, scratched it between the ears, and it let out a sigh so loud it rattled the ceiling panels. The girl glanced at the commander. "You were saying?" The High Commander's carapace flushed purple with rage. His lesson was in shambles. His authority cracked. And worst of all, every cadet in the room was now staring at the human with something the Empire feared above all else: curiosity. The girl finally stood, brushing imaginary dust off her jacket. "Tell you what. You wanted a demonstration of power? We'll give you one. But not today." Her smile widened, sharp as glass. "Send your fleet to Earth. We'll roll out the welcome mat." The beast growled low, as if agreeing with her. The cadets froze. The commander's throat clicked. The Empire had meant to intimidate humanity. Instead, humanity had just issued the invitation. The girl turned and walked out with the Terrorfang padding at her side, cage doors still hanging open behind them. The last thing she said echoed through the academy halls, casual but deadly serious. "Bring your best. We'll bring the rest." The academy's great doors slammed behind her, the Terrorfang padding loyally at her side, claws clicking against the polished floors. Alien cadets whispered in terrified tones, unsure if they had just witnessed treason, magic, or madness. By the time she returned to the docking bay, the Empire's propaganda channels were already broadcasting the incident with a twisted spin: human refuses to cower. Beast responds unpredictably. Empire remains unshaken. But the footage told a different story. Every frame showed the beast whimpering at her feet, every moment a visual gut punch to the Empire's carefully curated myth of supremacy. Within hours, the galaxy was buzzing. And within days, the Empire took the bait. The first fleet arrived in Earth orbit with pomp and thunder. War drums of the void. Vast carrier ships like floating mountains, escorted by destroyers bristling with weapons. Entire continents could fit inside the hangars of their flagships. The Emperor himself declared this fleet a lesson in obedience. On Earth, the humans barely looked up from their schedules. In a mountain command center somewhere under Colorado, Admiral Hayes sipped his coffee and tapped a finger on the glowing tactical display. Around him, officers leaned in, their faces half amusement, half disbelief. "They brought 40 capital ships," one muttered. Hayes smirked. 40? Only 40? That's adorable. A lieutenant frowned. "Sir, shouldn't we?" "Nope." Hayes set down his coffee. "They came for a show. Let's give them one." He snapped his fingers. Screens lit up across the room. Instead of standard battle prep, feeds showed civilians. Ordinary Earthlings on webcams, phones, and streams. One farmer in Kansas sharpening his tractor blades. A teenager with too much eyeliner calmly painting his nails. An old woman knitting in silence, with a shotgun propped casually beside her chair. The fleet's long-range sensors picked it all up. The aliens didn't see fear. They saw humans waiting. The Empire's commander, Admiral Clythar, growled from the bridge of his flagship. His mandibles clicked as he barked to his crew. "Begin orbital intimidation barrage. No fire upon the surface, yet. Just noise." Cannons charged. Planetary skies lit with streaks of energy fire. The air thundered. Seas churned. Humanity's response? They launched weather balloons. Thousands of them. Bright orange, helium-filled, bouncing through the upper atmosphere like toy decorations at a parade. Each carried nothing but reflective foil and cheap speakers blaring the same song on endless repeat, an obnoxiously cheerful jingle about hot dogs. The song drifted up into the alien fleet's comms. The hot dogs had names. Rhymes. Verses. Clythar's bridge filled with tinny human lyrics describing mustard and buns in haunting detail. "What is this noise?" Clythar roared. An officer winced. "It is cultural weaponry, Admiral." The crew clawed at their ears. The jingle stuck in their minds instantly, wriggling in like parasites. By the third loop, alien officers were unconsciously humming it. By the 10th, one had torn his own data pad in half trying to block the sound. Still the humans launched more balloons. Thousands. Tens of thousands. The skies above Earth glowed with cheap foil and catchy jingles. Admiral Hayes leaned back, grinning. "Let's see how long they last." Reports streamed in within hours. Alien cadets across the galaxy, those who'd seen the Academy footage, were now remixing the hot dog jingle into anthems, chants, even solemn hymns. The meme spread faster than the Empire's propaganda ever had. The mighty invasion had become a cosmic joke. Clythar's mandibles quivered with rage. "Enough! Prepare ground incursion." Shuttles roared down toward Earth. Heavily armed troops stomped out, expecting resistance, expecting blood, expecting fear. They found block parties. Neighborhoods had set up tables of barbecue. Kids sprayed the soldiers with water guns. Elderly grandmothers offered casseroles. Someone had painted giant welcome banners: "Thanks for visiting Earth, please wipe feet before conquest." The soldiers froze. One human toddler waddled up, handed a stunned alien trooper a half-melted popsicle, and toddled off again. The trooper, armed to the teeth, didn't move for 5 whole minutes, staring at the dripping treat. Overhead, the hot dog song kept playing. By the time the Empire realized this was not resistance but psychological warfare, it was too late. Their troops had lost discipline. Their comms were flooded with memes. Their commanders couldn't issue orders without someone snickering. The humans hadn't fired a single shot. And yet the invasion was already unraveling. Back in Colorado, Admiral Hayes clasped his hands behind his back, watching it unfold. His grin was razor-sharp. "Escalate," he said simply. A captain raised an eyebrow. "Sir, what does escalation look like in this context?" Hayes' eyes glinted. "Oh, we've only just started. You think the hot dog jingle is bad? Wait until they meet the resonator." And across the galaxy, in the Empire's High Council chambers, chaos was brewing. Alien nobles screamed at each other. Some demanded the human menace be exterminated immediately. Others whispered that perhaps, just perhaps, this species was something worse than enemies. Something unpredictable. Something untouchable. And in the cracks of their perfect control, something spread like wildfire: doubt. The humans had flipped the script. The Empire had brought their fleets and arrogance. Humanity answered with balloons, jingles, and barbecues. And the galaxy was laughing. The order spread through Earth's command network like lightning. Deep in a bunker beneath Nevada, a vault door rumbled open. Rows of technicians stood ready, faces illuminated by the glow of an enormous machine. It wasn't sleek. It wasn't elegant. It looked like a scrapyard had exploded and someone duct-taped the debris into a tower of blinking lights and humming coils. On its side, spray-painted in neon orange letters, was a name: the Resonator. Technicians donned earplugs. Some crossed themselves. One muttered, "God forgive us for what we're about to unleash." The Resonator powered up. In orbit, Admiral Clethar was trying to hold his fleet together. Troops on the ground were reporting compromised morale. Officers couldn't stop humming that cursed hot dog song. Even his own tactical aides kept breaking rhythm mid-report. Then came the sound. It wasn't transmitted through comms. It wasn't radio. It wasn't even logical. It simply arrived in their skulls, vibrating through every nerve, rattling every bone. The resonator had been switched on. The noise wasn't a weapon. It was worse. It was bass. Human bass. A rolling, thrumming, floor-shaking subwoofer blast, layered with chants so low and heavy they rattled the guts of every alien in the fleet. To the humans on Earth, it was music. To the aliens, it was terror incarnate. Their biology couldn't handle it. Mandibles shook loose. Eye stalks quivered uncontrollably. Entire crews staggered as the sound vibrated organs they didn't even have names for. One destroyer's helmsman collapsed into hysterical laughter, unable to stop repeating the words he heard in the bass line: "Drop it, drop it, drop it." Another officer clawed at the deck, shrieking, "The humans are bending the fabric of existence with rhythm." Clethar slammed his claws onto the arm of his chair. "Shut it out. Shut it." His own voice cracked mid-order as the bass line dropped again, vibrating the very air in the bridge. The resonator was tuned to frequencies that bypassed thought. It spoke directly to instinct. And the instinct it awoke in every alien was primal submission. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Hayes leaned casually on the console, bobbing his head. "Not bad, huh?" A lieutenant beside him blinked. "Sir, you're telling me we built a planet-sized subwoofer as a line of defense?" Hayes grinned. "Son, never underestimate the military applications of a good beat drop." The lieutenant hesitated. "And what happens if they resist?" Hayes' grin sharpened. "Oh, they won't. Not after Phase 2. Phase 2 began with projection. The resonator pulsed light into the upper atmosphere. Not lasers. Not weapons. But holograms. Every planet in the Empire's network suddenly saw it. Massive, world-sized projections of humans dancing. Some breakdancing. Some flossing. Entire armies doing the Macarena in unison. The hot dog song was still there, but now it was remixed into a bass-thumping anthem. The galaxy stared. Generals stared. Even rebel factions stared. And then, someone, somewhere, started imitating it. On the Empire's capital world, the High Council was in meltdown. Nobles screamed over each other, their voices cracking with panic. This is not war. This is cultural infection. They have corrupted our fleets with primitive noises. We cannot win against madness. One elder tried to restore calm. We are the Empire. We are order incarnate. Humanity is chaos. We must extinguish them. At that exact moment, the chamber itself shook with the resonator's bass. The windows quivered. Half the nobles accidentally synced their movements to the beat. The elder froze mid-sentence as his claws tapped the rhythm on the podium. The chamber erupted in horror. In orbit, Clythar's fleet was breaking down. Entire crews dropped weapons to dance. Not willingly, like puppets yanked by invisible strings. Their bodies twitched in rhythm. The Terraphon, still on Earth and lounging at the human girl's feet, howled in harmony with the beat as though it had been waiting its whole life for this exact soundtrack. Clythar roared, "This is heresy. This is sorcery." The girl's voice cut into his comms feed, calm, mocking, crystal clear. "Not sorcery, champ. Just Spotify." The breaking point came when the humans unveiled the final layer of the resonator. Not sound. Not light. But message. Every screen, every transmission, every neural implant across the fleet flickered, and displayed the same thing. A simple PowerPoint presentation. Slide 1, Welcome to Earth's Invasion Preparedness Orientation. Slide 2, Rule number 1, Don't. Slide 3, a looping gif of a cat batting an alien warship off a table. The fleet lost what little discipline remained. Some officers resigned on the spot. Others broke down laughing, unable to breathe. A few simply curled into the fetal position, whispering prayers. The galaxy's most feared armada was unraveling under memes. On Earth, Admiral Hayes clasped his hands. His tone turned sharp. "All right. They've had their fun. Now let's end it." The room went silent. Officers leaned in. The girl, the one who had tamed the Terraphon, stood beside him now, scratching the beast behind the ears. Hayes nodded to her. "You ready?" She smirked. "Always." Together, they activated the resonator's final command. Every alien across the fleet froze. Every ship trembled. Every noble on the council fell into silence. The final broadcast rang out, calm and confident. "Empire of the Galaxy. You wanted obedience. You wanted fear. Instead, you got the world's biggest block party. Welcome to humanity's neighborhood. Consider this your eviction notice." The signal cut. The galaxy reeled. The Empire wasn't just losing a battle. They were losing control of the narrative. Their terror weapon had begged for belly rubs. Their fleets had been memed into disarray. Their soldiers had been served barbecue and popsicles. And now, the humans had declared eviction, with the entire galaxy watching. And for the first time in centuries, the Empire looked weak. Admiral Hayes leaned over the console and whispered, deadly calm, "Now we make them dance their way home." The first ship broke ranks. A battleship of the Empire, once a symbol of order and terror, spun slowly in orbit, lights flashing in sync with the resonator's beat. Its crew had lost all composure, bodies twitching in rhythm, claws clapping, mandibles clicking like castanets. And then another ship joined, and another, until the entire invasion fleet was pulsing like a galactic rave. From Earth, humanity watched live feeds as the galaxy's most feared armada turned into the universe's largest dance floor. Alien commanders tried to bark orders, but every attempt came out in stuttered rhythm, their voices hijacked by the bass. For the Empire, we must hold, and then their bodies betrayed them, hips jerking to the beat. On the ground, stranded troops fared no better. Streets in Paris, Lagos, and Rio were filled with armored invaders forced into synchronized choreography they couldn't control. Humans circled them with phones out, live streaming the spectacle as alien soldiers performed accidental flash mobs in full combat gear. Kids climbed onto their shoulders. Street performers joined in. Someone tossed a sombrero onto a sick-side captain, and the crowd roared. Admiral Clythar was the last to resist. His claws dug into the armrests of his throne. His mandibles clenched so hard they cracked. But the base did not ask permission. It reached inside, pulled at instinct, and dragged him forward. Slowly, his body betrayed him. One claw tapped the console. Then the other. Then his head began to nod against his will. His second-in-command gasped in horror. "Admiral, you're dancing." Clythar let out a broken roar, half rage, half despair, as his body surrendered completely. He spun in his chair, a hulking insectoid warlord reduced to gyrating like a carnival attraction. His bridge crew collapsed in laughter, their own limbs flailing in unison. The mighty Empire's admiral was no longer commanding. He was performing. On Earth, Admiral Hayes watched calmly, hands folded behind his back, the faintest smirk on his lips. "And that," he said, "is checkmate." The girl beside him, her terrorfawn sitting obediently at her feet like the world's most terrifying golden retriever, crossed her arms. "So, when do we tell them the bad news?" Hayes raised an eyebrow. "Which bad news?" "That the resonator doesn't turn off." The room went silent. A junior officer gawked. "Wait, sir? She's joking, right?" Hayes' smirk widened. "Mostly." Across the galaxy, chaos spread like wildfire. Entire colonies that once lived in fear of the Empire tuned into the live feeds and saw their masters humiliated, bodies jerked around like marionettes in the greatest joke the universe had ever witnessed. Resistance groups played the footage on endless loops. Slaves and subjects who had known nothing but silence and obedience now laughed until their throats ached. The spell of fear was broken, shattered beyond repair. In the High Council chambers, nobles scrambled for excuses, clawing at one another, demanding someone, anyone, restore order. But every word they spoke carried the echo of the beat. The chamber itself became a grotesque parody of authority, rows of dignitaries bobbing and swaying against their will, trying and failing to deliver speeches while their limbs betrayed them. The galaxy was watching. The Empire had lost control. Admiral Hayes gave the final order without raising his voice. "Transmit." A single broadcast went out across the stars, overriding every channel, every holoscreen, every implant. The feed showed Hayes at his console, calm, unshaken, coffee mug in hand. Beside him stood the girl, one hand resting casually on the head of the terrorfawn, which wagged its spiked tail like a happy dog. Hayes looked directly into the camera, voice steady, measured, and cold. "To the Galactic Empire. You came to intimidate us. You came to break us. Instead, you threw a party you couldn't handle. Your beasts want our protection. Your fleets want our music. Your people want our memes. And now the galaxy has seen the truth." He lifted the mug, took a slow sip, and set it down. "You're done here." The girl leaned into frame, her smile razor-sharp. "Next time you think about messing with humans, don't." The feed cut. Silence fell across the galaxy. Silence, and then laughter. The once mighty Empire began its retreat. Ships peeled away from orbit, still twitching in unwanted rhythm, their retreat broadcasts interrupted by bass drops and meme slides. Whole fleets limped back toward their core worlds, broken not by guns or bombs but by rhythm, ridicule, and ridicule's cruel twin, humiliation. On Earth, people spilled into the streets in celebration. The hot dog song blasted from car stereos. The terrorfawn was paraded through New York with sunglasses and a scarf. And Admiral Hayes sat in his command center, finally leaning back in his chair, a faint chuckle escaping his usually stern face. The galaxy had learned something new and terrifying that day. Humans were not the weakest. They were not prey. They were chaos weaponized, laughter sharpened into blades, absurdity deployed with surgical precision. They had turned invasion into entertainment. War into comedy. fear into farce. As Hayes rose from his chair, officers stood and saluted. He waved them down with a grin. Relax. We didn't win a war. We just taught the galaxy the golden rule. A lieutenant asked, cautious, and what rule is that, sir? Hayes paused at the door, his silhouette framed by the glow of monitors. He turned his head, voice low, sharp, final. Never threaten the species that invented memes. And with that, he walked out, leaving the command center roaring with laughter as the bass echoed one last time across the stars.